Welcome everybody to another episode of Cyber Insanity. I'm your host, Andrew Berkuta, with your host,
Angelo Longo.
And today we have yet another guest, a very special guest. It's our sponsor, Goliath Cybersecurity, but it is our founder and also CEO, Dave Ackley. So welcome, Dave.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Today we want to do a little bit of a different approach because we want to pick your brain a little bit and get inside your head as far as what did the industry miss, right? So Goliath, where did Goliath come from? Where did you come from, and what brought on Goliath into the industry? What did you see out there that was making changes or needed to be changed?
Great. So I've been in this industry 26, 27 years. And one of the things that I've seen through my executive career in running services is that, there's just too many tools. There's too many products out there. And one of the things that everybody wants to do is throw another tool at a problem, throw another solution at a problem, right? Which is another product. The issue stems from, it's like working on a car. I can't keep throwing wrenches at it. At some point, you got to take the wrench and you got to get in there and you got to work on it and get it tuned just right. The wrench isn't going to do it for you. And I think what we're missing as an industry, what we're doing a disservice to the industry right now is that there's a plethora of products, there's a plethora of tools. And we're not getting back to basics. We're not trying to hone in on the skills as to why we got into this industry in the first place. And I think, for Goliath Cyber, we're all about the advisory services. We're about getting back to the basics, getting back to taking a holistic approach to looking at what's under the covers. What do you have? What policies do you have in place? What policies need to be updated according to new rules and regulations? Right. Problem is again, people are just another tool going and looking, plugging it in and thinking it's going to solve their problem. Well, that tool that you're pushing out, maybe these awareness emails, cybersecurity awareness emails, if you're not communicating or working and publishing the process, the procedure and your policies, well, people are going to see it. They're still going to click on it. They're still going to do the things that they normally do, right? But at the end of the day, I think we, as an industry, got to get back to the basics and start focusing more on the people and the process. There's plenty of technology out there. Let's go figure out what you have, what you're missing, what you really need. Because sometimes that shiny little piece over there looks all fine and great until you get over there and you're like, crap, I just took 10 steps back because I don't understand what I'm doing. Right.
So that's interesting. That really infers two things to me. One, that you're focusing more on a relationship than a product or having products, touch circuits, if you will. But then the other thing is, because it's a relationship, because you're differentiating yourself as an advisory versus just a consultative service.
Yeah, a consultant is project-based. A consultant is more of, I've got these parameters. I'm going to stay in that swim lane, and that's what I'm going to do. And then I'm out of there once that job is done. An advisor, as a cyber advisory organization, we're there for the long haul, right? We're there to fix your current process, your current need and requirements against maybe compliance regulations. Or, one of the things that's happening right now is you're doing business with vendors that keeps your business going. Well, these vendors who are probably much larger than you are pushing down, regulations or requirements that, hey, do you have MFA turned on? Do you, encrypt your data? You're connected to us. We need this. We need these things. Your cyber insurance company, some people don't even have cyber insurance, but these cyber insurance companies are coming and saying, hey, these are the basic things you need to do. And, we're uncovering a lot of that where people are losing relationships because they're not doing the right things or they're not doing what's required of them. So we're here not just for that, but think about this, right? Think about let's go back to the car analogy. You're an auto mechanic, right? Your shop depends on foot traffic coming in and out of the door. Okay. If Dave Ackley walks into your shop and you do the right thing by me, and I have a long-standing relationship, whenever I have a problem, my wife has a flat tire on the side of the road, whatever it is, they take care of me and they're invested into the long haul in that relationship. Well, your business is going to grow. So when you take some of these organizations where we're working with them and we're doing the right things and we're there for the long haul and we're not nickel and diming them for every little conversation that may take 5 minutes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the relationship we want to get back to, right? We want to get back to that advisory trusted relationship. I'm not here to sell you a product or a solution. I'm here to figure out what you need and how to get you to a better place so you can build your relationships with your partners, your clients. Get back to doing what you do best, building your brand, building your company. We'll take care of the back end stuff with you and make sure you're right.
So I'm gonna flip a question to Angelo from a CISO's perspective. But then I want to flip a response back with a question to Dave here. So Angelo, as a CISO in the past, you had gone in through building a relationship with a vendor, and you were that upstream person to your partners.
Mm-hmm.
Today, how dire is it and how critical is it that these large companies now are looking at the small, medium businesses and saying, thou shalt comply with my regulations or my types of stuff? And what's the impact to them if they don't?
So what they're basically doing now is they're passing the buck a bit, but the real requirement is they need to know what's happening at these other providers. They need to know what's happening with their data, who's touching it, what's being done with it, how is it processed, where is it being stored, because they're increasingly being held responsible for what happens with their data. So the day of the person building a little SaaS project that they could try to sell to organizations based upon it being, a good product that doesn't have any issues and don't worry about it kind of thing, is going the way of the dodo. I think would be the right term. I think they found the dodo, by the way, but that's a side note.
Certainly a unicorn in this day and age.
Yes. So what's happening here is you're increasingly giving more scrutiny to your providers, your suppliers, because they're now becoming the focal point of attacks on your system. They're now either holding data for you that they're processing that's exposing it, or they are holding a tunnel, or whatever you want to say, open that allows someone to use it as a conduit into your organization and then make movements within your organization to their own net positive effect. So the reality is you got to care about who supplies you, who's working with you, the data they process, how they store it, and everything, just as much as when you have it internally. Period.
So here's the flip of the question to Dave. So from a large company, Angelo is speaking. Now I'm going to flip the coin and saying, I'm a small customer. Okay, I may be the downstream neighbor to Angelo's company. And I find that Angelo now is, with 2024, is mandating that my services, my company, yes, thank you, not so draconian, but in a very nice, pleasant way with a baseball bat, says, listen, you want to do business with me? I got it pared down to 5 suppliers now, and there's 7 in the bullpen. What can you do for me on the security side? I don't have staff. I may have a group of products. I don't know if they're going, it may be square pegs and round holes. It may be something that is porous like a sieve. I don't have the expertise. So I come to Goliath and say, can you help me? So the question is, can you help me? What would be a realistic expectation if I engage with Goliath and say, this is the scenario, company won't talk to me if I don't comply, help me out. What do I do?
Yeah, I mean, so we can absolutely help, and that's what we're here for, right? So we would start with an assessment, right? Let's have a conversation. Let's just understand, and there's no charge for that. Let's understand what your needs are, what your requirements are, what requirements are actually being pushed down to you. Because here's the other thing that a lot of organizations or businesses don't understand. And I think Angelo, me and you dealt with this maybe about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, where a certain requirement came down from a partner slash vendor to another, and they didn't understand why they were being asked that question because they were confused. Well, what happens in the world today, and Angelo, you can probably attest to this, is these organizations have a standard thing of questions, book of questions, and they're looking for a standard book of answers, right? They do you have X, Y, and Z? I'm expecting A, B, and C, right? And the problem is that they're not trying to understand what that individual's business is actually doing, do they actually fall into those requirements? And a lot of them are just being thrown to the wayside saying, you didn't answer the question as I expected, right? So with us, we're not only going to work with that small organization who, by the way, rightfully so, these large organizations, they are tied to them, right? These small businesses are tied to those larger organizations. They do have access into portals or systems or whatever it is. So they're doing the right thing. But what I think is key here is having us come in, take a look at what requirements are being thrown at you, whether they're, federally mandated, government low to the state and local requirements, to SEC, FTC, whatever it is, right? Vendor, partner agreements, whatever it is. Let's figure out what your business is, what it's doing. Do you hold data? What kind of data is it? And then let's go work with your partners to ensure that you're not putting stuff in just to put stuff in when maybe you don't necessarily need to, right? And not only that, let's just make sure you're protecting the data overall and where you need to be. But there's a lot that goes into it. It's not really a quick answer per se, except for we can help you. But there's a lot that goes into it. And there's a lot of things we need to understand, because I guarantee you a lot of these small and mid-sized businesses don't understand it themselves, right?
So this really
Sorry, this is our functional bailiwick. If you were asking somebody to build a widget, and that's what they did for a living, and they did it for the last 20 years, they know how to do it. Why would they know what we did for the last 20 years?
Right.
So,
yep.
I'm sorry, yeah, Drew, I overrode you.
No. So really using Dave's analogy of a mechanic or a wrench, let's say a wrench, we're talking about more than just a wrench. We're talking about, you have to understand what tools you have, understanding how to use the tools, understanding when to use the tools, and being able to have the understanding of the actual machinery that you're working on. So really, there's a full suite of skills that has to accompany this, but it really comes back to understanding. And I think this is the important thing that you kept gravitating around, is understanding your customer, understanding their need. And it's hard to advise. And sometimes it's very easy for people to say, well, give me a price on, or give me a, how many tools do I need? That's not the right question that they're asking. But that's the only vocabulary that they know, because they may come from a place of, how much is it going to be?
I'm going to give you an example, right?
Yeah.
So LinkedIn is going berserk. It's the beginning of the year. I'm getting hit up with LinkedIn and everybody trying to sell stuff, right? And you can literally go on our website and you can literally see that we don't do product development. We are not a product development company, right?
Right.
It's the attention to detail, right? And what's happening is people are just going out and trying to sell services and tools to people just because they got to sell a license, just because they got to sell an hour or revenue. At the end of the day, no one's really having those conversations or really looking deep to see what do they actually do. Well, you know what? These 20 people that hit me up this week already, if they would have just went to our website and used common sense, they'd say, oh, they don't need my services. I'm not going to waste their time. That's where we come in, right? We come in and we understand what you really need. Now, we built partnerships throughout our ecosystem. Again, I'm going to ask this question. I know I've been in the business for 25, 27 years. Angelo, you've been in the business how long?
Oh, just 1 or 2 or decades plus.
And Andrew, same, right?
Well, yeah. The gray hair don't mean anything.
So we've all been yeah, right here. We've all worked together for quite a long time, but we've also all been in different industries and different businesses. Right. And one of the things that we as a team done, is create partnerships and relationships with people who are really good at what they do, right? Who don't necessarily want to work for the enterprise. And, we listen, we understand what we're listening to and what we're listening for. And then we bring in those relationships that can make a difference for our client. And we manage that ourselves, right? So if you're a client of Goliath Cyber, you're a client of Goliath Cyber. Let us be the general contractor. Let us find the right people. Let us fix the problem if there's an issue. Let us be the conduit to help you with one relationship. And, Goliath Cyber can't fix everything, but we have partnerships that can. And if you're a CISO, if you're cyber management, right? IT, at the end of the day, I guarantee you've got 10, 15, 20 relationships. And when an incident happens, you're chasing everybody down and everybody's doing this.
Yeah. They're pointing fingers. Not my job.
And let's talk about incident response. So partnerships, right? So we partnership with an attorney who's very, very good. She's a bulldog, right? Mm-hmm. Who literally
who incidentally was on this program at one point.
Yes, right before me.
If you haven't seen it.
Right. Great conversation with a cyber attorney.
One of the things that we do, we don't call it incident response, we call it incident management, right? Because at the end of the day, we are going to be the conduit to help you with the X's and O's when it comes to cyber. But in reality, when we hear the term breach or incident, we're pointing to her to bring her in and her organization to help. It's that those are the things that make a difference. A lot of these other organizations will hear incident and they turn on the ambulance lights and they're running and they're like, we got you. Next thing you know, you're looking at a retainer for $10,000 or more just to do something minimal. And they're going to hold you to that, right? At the end of the day, you only use 5 hours. You find out that it's not an incident. Right? You still signed a retainer for 10 grand. You got to pay the 10 grand. Yeah. What we do is different, right? We'll come in, we'll understand the problem, we'll understand the issue, we'll see what happened, and then we'll make the decision on, you know what? That's false. It didn't happen. We can see it. We know. We're 100% sure. You're good to go. Let's just make these changes. Or you're having a holy crap moment, and that's when someone like Angelo or someone from the team is going, hey, we got to bring someone else in on this, and that's going to be a cyber attorney, because they're the ones that are going to stop everybody from what they're doing and make sure all liabilities are covered.
Stop the insanity.
And just as a clarification, I mean, when you talk about evaluating in this incident management, this is happening in real time. Right. This is, we're there, we're looking, we're examining if it needs this. As an example, I remember one of the incident managements, we had our cyber attorney engaged within hours Within
Yeah.
hours of being notified, after we talked with the customer and said, you know what, we recommend you proceed with this course of action. She was there, she was engaged, had incident response tools in place that night. So this is real-time stuff, and I don't want to give the casual appearance of this.
We saved that client from something that could be substantial, and we're not talking about thousands of dollars. We're not talking about hundreds of thousands. We're talking about millions of dollars that were at stake at this point. When we got brought in. And you know, this is somebody that we've talked to in the past, and this happens all the time. Hey, I'm worried about your cyber. How can we help you? You know, how can we help you be more proactive? How can we help you? Oh, I'm good. I'm good. I've got antivirus. I'm good. Well, yeah. Well, okay. Now the conversation is I need cyber insurance because they didn't have cyber insurance. I need cyber insurance, and they're getting a quote for a 10-person organization of $15,000 for the year for cyber insurance. Well,
which is insane.
If you spend a fraction, a very, very small fraction of that with us and help us get MFA in place, help us get all the security policies, procedures written and done. And by the way, that doesn't take much time. There's templates for that. We just got to work it and tweak it to make sure it fits your business and what you do. And at the end of the day, that can just dump tremendously down to a very, very low dollar amount against 15 grand, right?
Right. So this raises an interesting point, because I think large enterprises get it because they have the staff, they have the expertise, they have the army.
Large enterprises get it because if they have an incident, they've got the money to recover.
Right. But for a small medium business, okay, and I'm going to pick on Angelo here for example,
Nice.
at a high level, there are certain things auditors today are looking for, or cyber or insurance carriers are looking for today. I mean, obviously they want to see some tools available, right?
Right.
But there's other things that they're looking for, right? They don't want to see dust collecting on those tools. What else are they looking for?
So when you go for these things, they're becoming more like auditors, more like certification auditors, where they're looking for more activity, not just the presence of, hey, we have an EDR solution, presence of a possible SIM, a presence of, some type of ticketing system. They're looking for policies, procedures, implementation, security, reactions to events, documentation of those reactions, looking at ticketing, making some determination. I'm not saying they're going to go as deep as that, but there are certification procedures out there which will, and they may be asking for those things. So when you just say, I have it, who cares? You could have a fire extinguisher, but it could be, out in the shed and your house is burning down. It doesn't do anything.
How to use it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Or you don't know, or you're not the right one.
Right.
Right. There's show of hands on the podcast. How many people know that there's different flavors of fire extinguishers for different purposes, right? But
I have to say yes. My brother-in-law is a firefighter.
Well,
so I have to say yes.
Right. So fair enough. But those labels mean something, and there's elements of training, there's elements of proof of proper use, there's elements of using tools that collaborate and correlate together and have a more unified view. This reeks of a security program. And all of a sudden, these big companies come up and saying, show me your program. And if you don't catch that buzzword from them,
yep,
you're going to sit there and go, yeah, I have my XYZ brand of antivirus that I got at the box store down the street, or at the mega warehouse place, and I got a 5-user license. That's not what they're talking about. They're talking about a true program. So, yep. Dave, let me pick on you now, because now all of a sudden I hear the word program and that scares me. How do I know when to engage Goliath?
You should have already engaged Goliath, because here's the thing, right?
Okay.
I mean, I'm just going to be blunt, right?
Right.
Let's go back to the conversation we just had about the guy that got breached, right? The company that got breached. At the end of the day, yeah, I know. I'm good. Well, if you're in business and you handle any kinds of communication with clients, PII data, it doesn't matter, right? You should have something in place because it's not when, right? It's not if, it's when.
Yeah.
You know, people are going to test the waters. They're going to try and figure out who you're attached to. They're going to do their homework. The bad actors are going to do what they need to do. So if you don't have a cybersecurity program in place today, you're really behind the eight ball, right? You should have something in place. You should be thinking about these things because the fractional amount that it costs to get there as opposed to when it happens. I mean, I think a study, you know, the latest study is SMBs can't survive after 6 months of a breach right now, right? Their reputation is gone.
wait.
And
I say that again, because I think this has to be said. A small, medium business cannot survive a breach.
yeah, with 6 months, within 6 months,
In 6 months,
they're pretty much out of business or about to be out of business because to recover, right? To recover is going to be huge. Now, let's say you're a business and you have partnerships with other vendors that you need to survive off of. Well,
Okay.
when they hear you've been breached, do you think they're really going to continue business with you? Their reputation's torn. You look at what's happening in the mortgage industry right now. The Mr. Coopers, the Loan Depots, right?
Yeah.
If I'm a customer, you know what? You're gonna sit there, you're gonna be breached. You haven't done the right things. Something happened, something went wrong, right? Now my data is there. I should just be happy with 2 years of identity protection.
What's wrong
Really?
with that, Dave?
I know,
Come on,
right?
Dave. That
Really?
covers
What are they
everything.
what are they going to tell you otherwise?
Right?
Right.
Identity protection. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, they're throwing out identity protection like it's candy.
Yeah.
That's not, that's, you shouldn't have been there in the first place, right? Now, I get it. I get it. We always say cybersecurity protection is never 100%. You can never stop Andrew from clicking on that link because, ooh, look
All
at
the
that.
time, Andrew. Stop it.
Right? But you know, that's where we again come back to the people in the process. There's plenty of technology out there. The industry, I think we're going to start seeing a change in the industry, and we see it every so often where it cycles to where now it's going to become more of a services industry when it comes to cyber.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're starting to see that trend where I think clients and customers are like, look, I bought this license from you and I'm trying to implement this. I haven't even got 50% of the way there and you're asking me for a renewal.
Right.
Or
That's
hey,
just difficulty. See, I would argue that's difficulty in the product that it made it too complex to understand it, let alone install it.
that's why we keep it simple, stupid, right? At the end of the day, we're here to not only guide you and hold your hand and be that advisor for you, but we're going to put in solutions that are low touch. Okay.
Yeah.
Because we want you focusing on your business and driving revenue so you can be successful for not only your family, but for your coworkers, right?
Right.
We do the same thing here, right? We're efficient, low touch, but we're covering all our bases and we're making sure we're secure, right?
Right.
That's what people need. That's what organizations need is to understand if I have a question, I'm going to make one phone call and I'm going to have my answer. If not, they're going to find the answer for me and we're going to figure it out.
Right.
Go back to the cyber. The reason why we partnered with CoverDash for cyber insurance on our website is because we were finding that there is a lot of complexity and a lot of misunderstandings about cyber insurance. So now clients can literally go to our website, fill out a form, and we can actually be by their side while we're talking to the insurance broker to get the right coverage they need for their business, not some overblown, you know.
We've seen this happen. We've
We
seen, we just
literally
connected
seen
them.
it happen
Boom.
just last week. Just last
They,
week.
they went, don't take that policy. This policy is much better for you. It's better price, better coverage. It's like, wow.
Right. Yeah.
Actual
Yeah.
conversant people giving you good deals.
We've seen it happen. We live it. We breathe it. And that's another thing, guys. We got to get those testimonials out there. But here's the thing. right? Here's the thing. It's not about us. It's about our clients. And going back to the start of the call, coming from the enterprise, coming from these larger organizations, you know, we were just a little dot on the blip of the big radar, right? And if we had an opinion for what was best for our client, it got overruled by the other executives or the other individuals that were just trying to bring in revenue in the wrong place for the client, right? We're here to make sure that that doesn't happen, that you're actually getting the right tools, making sure that you're paying attention to your business. Let us pay attention to cyber. We got you, right? And if
Really,
we're
you're
gonna
you're being
we're
a
gonna
customer advocate.
right, we're gonna bring you in. You're gonna be part of every conversation, every decision. We're not gonna make decisions for you, but we're gonna guide you in the right manner. I can't tell you how many clients we work with, and you guys know firsthand. Oh, I'm good. I'm
Mhm.
good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you know what? I got GoDaddy and I'm good, man. When I started my business, I got GoDaddy and I'm still good. Oh, really? Okay. So you've grown, but you're still in that just been born phase. You don't have your Microsoft stuff set up, right? Or your G Suite stuff set up. You don't have MFA. Some people don't even know what MFA is. It's crazy.
It's
But
it's like seeing a 7-year-old in diapers. It doesn't
yeah.
fit.
But,
I'm just
but
saying, I'm not judging.
I know, but
No, but it makes sense.
you asked the question about when.
Yeah.
If you're asking the question, you're late.
So I
When
got
It's
when
like it's like getting a was it a sunstroke or
yeah,
being pushed. If you're thirsty, you're already done.
you're already
you're already
done.
done.
You're done.
So Dave, I got two more questions for you because I think this is I've heard this before, right? So first question is this. So what's the difference or what's the big deal between an MSP and an MSSP? They're the same thing, right?
Nope. 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 We only care about cyber as an MSSP security. We're not a managed services provider. We are a security services provider. So we care about cyber. I do not care about your printer and ink and all that, right? We care about cyber and cyber only. That is our focus. That is what we do best. We're not here to work on printers or hardware or anything like that. We're here to protect what you got.
So basically,
Security-wise.
don't let your mechanic wash your car. That's not good use of your
He'll
time.
still have he'll probably still have the wrench in his hand when he's doing it.
All right, question number two, because I hear this a lot. So with small, medium businesses, they often look for what does the big guy have, right? And the first thing they always quote is, well, should I be concerned with Gartner? Gartner, right? The magic quadrants. Is that a necessity? Is that a stigma? Is that just marketing or fluff? What's your opinion on this?
My opinion is it's not a necessity. Okay. Um, there are a lot of good products and a lot of good tools out there that focus and take their money into working on the product and the solution, right? I'm going to give you, and I'm just going to state this, and some of these enterprise executives that I know might get upset, but spending $5 million or $10 million at an event like Black Hat doesn't make your product better for the client. If you took that $5 and $10 million, whatever it costs to throw these parties and do whatever you got to do, right, to have the glitz and glamour, right, it should, in my opinion, if you took that money and put it back into the product or you know what, hell, provided free services, advisory services or implementation services to your clients with that money to get your product to be more sticky so you don't have to worry about fighting a competitor. That's what I mean, that's where I'm at with it. To me, we need to reinvest into our clients. We need in the industry, we need to reinvest in our clients and we need to reinvest into what matters the most. And, you know, a lot of these large enterprise organizations state, hey, we work with the SMB. Well, you know, I can go buy a Cadillac, has all the features, but do I really need all the features? Because I'm going to be paying for it, right? I don't
Going to be
need it.
servicing it too.
I will be servicing it too, right? So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, right, you know, I call BS to a lot of these large enterprise client, vendors saying they work with the SMB. Yeah, they do work with the SMB. That's fine. Anybody can say they work with the SMB, but there's features, there's all this stuff that's in that product that you don't need. You're paying for it, right?
Yeah.
One way, somehow or another, you're paying for it. And when a larger organization comes in that's paying millions of dollars to these organizations, wants something else, they're going to be pushed aside, right? And they're gonna put fluff around it, but you're going to be pushed aside. And that's no different than what we've just seen with one of our other current clients, right? They're looking, they're trying to implement a DLP solution. Well, that organization that's supplying that DLP solution figured they're going to go, because they haven't had as much success in building that solution, they're taking that time and their efforts and putting it elsewhere. And now this client is like, what? The product's not doing what I needed to do. What's going on? So now they're coming to us saying, hey, help us. These are our requirements. This is what we need. Help us. Right. So, I mean, yes, and I'm not going to call them out all the way to say they're not doing good things. They are doing good things. Some of them are giving back to the community. Some of them are doing what's right. But, there's a lot of good products out there for every single different level of organization that's out there. Right. And some do good things. Some are not so good. But at the end of the day, there's a solution for everybody. And it's just finding the right niche and the right product and the right solution and the right service that fits. And with our experience, we've seen it all, we've done it all, we've got the relationships that'll make it right.
Nice. Awesome. So Angelo, one last question from a CISO perspective. You're hearing a lot about SMBs struggling with finding the proper skill sets, probably a budget adjustment, and new fiscal year, let's say if your calendar year, where do I put, what do I bet my money on? What horse do I bet my money on here as far as what should be the first things that I should call Goliath on, as far as, you have your typical people, process, and technology. They're all intertwined, but if you had your druthers and you had a finite amount, what would be the phone call to Dave and saying, hey, help me with this? What would be a low-hanging fruit?
The very initial thing anybody does in a CISO position walking in is establish a gap assessment and a security plan. Basically, get them to, hey, this is what's missing. This is how to get to the right place. When you have when you know what's missing, then you can say, okay, here's the right place. And the right place is built on industry standards, security frameworks. But the end all be all of this is the fact that you are going to end up building a security plan that drives home what the company needs and wants in the end. And when you do that, you're basically establishing your roadmap for how the company will invest in information security. There's people, process, and technology. A lot of times this is reconfiguring technology. Sometimes the stuff is there and not used or not configured correctly. And then once they get to that place, then you can start talking about more intense places. Part of that gap assessment would be, what kind of data do you use? Where is it at? And who can touch it? Right. This is something that's very scary. Nobody wants to know, and they'd rather bury their head in the sand, because the simple fact is it's easier not knowing and hoping for the best. In the end,
security strategy anymore.
In the end, it's going to bite them in the butt. So, it may be now, it may be 2 years from now, but it's going to get you.
Right.
It's not if, it's when.
Yep, exactly. And that's the problem. It's like riding a motorcycle. What is it, Dave? It's not when it's not if you're going to lay it down, it's when.
Oh, it's when you're going to lay it down. You're going to lay it down.
Well, that's from.
I mean, again, I think as an industry as a whole, we've done an injustice to our clients and our customers as an industry, and I think we need to get back to basics and get back to the root of what the issues are and work to solve them. I mean, that's where we're at right now, and it's as simple as what Andrew just laid out. Let's come in, let's figure out where your gaps are. Let's figure out, you've got tools, that's great. At the end, maybe you don't need that feature turned on and it's slowing you down, right? There's a lot of different things to look at, and we're here to just try and make it better. And I think as an industry, we need to do that.
Well said. Well, as we're finishing up our podcast, Dave, is there some places that our viewers can follow Goliath? Is there websites and content that they can look up and maybe understand more about Goliath? You want to share?
Yeah. We've got our webpage, and we've got some free resources on our webpage as well. I mean, we do complimentary workshops. We have partnered with KnowBe4, and we offer free, phishing tests, some ransomware simulators, and other things as well. I mean, with our services, on managed security services, we do 30-day POCs to see what's going on and how we can help. And there's a lot of things we do, but we do have a website, goliathsec.com. We also have our LinkedIn page. You can find us as Goliath Cyber. Same thing with Instagram, same thing with Facebook. But we're here, we're on socials, and we try and provide daily content to help our users understand what's going out there in the world.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for taking the time and explaining just how Goliath came about. What were the thoughts behind building something intentional, something that's more relationship built for clients and actually helping clients. Angelo, I think you're saying is one of those that really comes into play here after we talk to Dave, and share with us your quote.
Well, first off, I'm going to attribute the quote to Bob here in the background here. I don't know if you guys can see him.
Dalton. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he's the last guy I clicked on the link in the phishing email. So, the reality is
that's Bob Skelly, right? Bob Skelly.
Yes. What do I always say? Complexity is the enemy of security. If you can't understand it, you can't show it, you can't know you or secure yourself. So the reality is we got to reduce complexity so that we can understand and secure an organization better. And that's just getting back to basics. Yep. And then Andrew, you may say something sometimes.
I do. I say that the best security device resides between our ears, and if we use it.
Bob doesn't have much.
Bob doesn't have much gray matter anymore. But all that said, once again, thanks to Dave Ackley for joining us on the podcast. We hope this was informative to you, our listeners, and look forward to talking with you, Angelo, and our next guest potentially. That's a little bit of a tickler on our next podcast. So stay tuned and have a good and safe day. Take care.
Yeah.